A September 8th Supreme Court decision gives permission to the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement to continue sweeps in the Los Angeles area that critics and federal judges stated amounts to racial profiling. The limited scope decision came down in an unsigned emergency action that did not disclose which justices voted to side with President Donald Trump's administration and offered no reasoning. But it nonetheless temporarily overturns decisions from the lower courts that block ICE from making stops based on only race, language, locations, and occupations. All that is known about the justice views is that the conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh largely agree with the decision. The three liberal justices disagree with said decision. The case, Noam versus Vasquez, started with a group of Latino residents from California and related workers. Organizations sued the government saying that they were being subjected to illegal stops as part of an enforcement blitz that started June 5th in the Los Angeles area. In one case, the United States citizen born and raised in East LA has stated that he was standing on the sidewalk when agents ran towards him with handguns and military-style rifles and repeatedly asked if he was an American. Despite saying he was, they pressed him to say what hospital he was born in. Agent pushed him against the metal fence, put his hands behind his back, and twisted his arms. The man eventually produced his real ID, a type of special driver's license that requires someone to show proof of legal residence. According to the lawsuit, agents took his real ID and his phone, returning his phone minutes later but never returning his ID. The Trump administration has been using 4 criteria to see who ICE agents can stop for immigration inquiries, according to court documents. They are: number 1, apparent race or ethnicity; number 2, speaking Spanish or English with an accent; number 3, present at a particular location such as a car wash or a day labored pickup site; and 4, the type of work the person does. The people who sued the administration argued that it is illegal for the administration to solely use this criteria. The Trump administration wrote in court filings that the people suing and the courts themselves acknowledge that, quote, ICE at least sometimes relies on additional factors. Trial court in California called ICE practices an official sanctioned pattern of conduct and stated that even though there was no evidence of an official policy for the 4 criteria, immigration agents were routinely using them to make stops. The court barred the administration from relying solely on this criteria to make stops in the Los Angeles area and required ICE to use higher legal standards called reasonable suspicion to conduct stops. The Trump administration appealed, and the appeals court agreed with the lower courts, but the Trump administration then appealed to the Supreme Court for an emergency ruling, essentially saying that law enforcement were being prohibited from doing their jobs. The Supreme Court's limited decision, which came in September 8th, lets ICE return to using the 4 criteria in the Los Angeles area, at least during the current stages of the legal process. In a blistering dissent, Sotomayor, a liberal justice, called the decision a grave misuse of the court's emergency power. We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job. The Trump administration argued that people who sued them didn't have the right to do so, an issue that can get the case thrown out. The administration wrote that the people's allegations were entirely speculative and that they offered nothing to prove their promise that they could be stopped again by ICE. The justices who sided with the Trump administration in one paragraph's decision did not address the issue, so Americans do not know if the justices sided with the administration based solely on the technicality. However, in his own opinion that only represented his views, Kavanaugh agreed with the Trump administration. Quote, plaintiffs have no good basis to believe that law enforcement will stop them in the future based on prohibited factors, and certainly no good basis for believing that any stop of the plaintiffs is imminent. So I just want to be very clear, and I just want to be very specific to the Latin community, to anybody who speaks Spanish or whatnot or whatever. For any of you guys out there that voted specifically for Trump, for this Republican administration, you guys are at fault, and you specifically have placed your own people directly in this predicament, and you've also placed you yourselves in the exact same predicament because you thought that you were better than. You thought that you were not going to be affected. You thought that the Trump administration was going to protect the good ones and then they were going to get everybody else out. But inevitably, They're going after all of y'all indiscriminately. It does not matter. Even if you supported Trump, even if you have Trump flags, Trump 2020 whatever in 2028, it don't matter what you got directly up there. You can wear all of the types of fatigues. You can wear any type of clothing, whatever it is that you may have made or bought directly off of Etsy. It is not going to protect you directly from ICE. And you have to ask yourself, everybody, right, has to ask themselves, those out there who are not, just born and raised here, what does an American look like? Ask yourself that question. Because the main thing that we try to tell a lot of those out there in the Hispanic, Latin community, whatever it is that you want to call yourselves, right? We tried to warn a lot of people directly out there, but a lot of people thought that they knew better. A lot of people thought they had a better understanding. A lot of people voted because they felt that it was going to affect everybody else and not them. And now people are learning a very heavy lesson at this moment in time. You had a Republican MAGA supporter that decided that she saw a whole bunch of Asians working in a car factory or putting together some stuff in a car factory. She considered it illegal. She said it was not American. She decided to call ICE and she got them directly up out of here. Also getting up out of here billions of dollars that it potentially would have went if that factory would have been finished, would have been there. Billions of dollars that would have come directly into that economy, directly into that state, right? Money that would have come directly into those communities, specifically into white people's hands, where they would have had jobs that could have lasted them a lifetime and jobs that they could have passed down to their kids, right? Gone. All because of one MAGA supporter and her racism. Now we're dealing with the fact of a lot of people who are immigrants or who are from elsewhere or whatnot or whatever that either sided with the Trump administration or they voted for the Trump administration. So I also want to put this directly out there to a lot of the Africans and many others directly out there too. Y'all are pretty much in the exact same boat. Don't think that this is going to miss you either. If the Supreme Court is giving ICE the okay, and again, I would just want to note to people that this is a test trial. This is a test run to see the reaction from the people. So if they're allowed to go through with this test trial and everything is completely fine and dandy, there's realistically, in a sense, nothing stopping them from continuing this throughout all of the 50 states. Jeopardizing a lot of souls directly out here, and specifically the Hispanic population. But dealing with the Africans and the many others directly out there, they're going to be looking at y'all too. They're going to find and try to make their way directly through to you guys as well. Don't think that they are just going to solely go after Spanish-speaking people. They're going to be going after a lot of Africans, a lot of Haitians, a lot of those directly in the islands. And you have a lot of folks out here for the Africans. Your parents still have that heavy accent. So they know where it is that your parents are from, and it ain't from here. So very easily, Africans, your parents can be getting packed up pretty soon. As soon as they decide to make the call, as soon as they decide to make that decision, they're going to be packing y'all right on up. Like I said, we try to tell a lot of people directly out here how these things can affect tremendous amounts of people. And none of y'all wanted to listen to the Black Americans when we warned y'all, when we told you specifically what it is and what it is going to be. We went through history and tried to give y'all information. All y'all did was tell us to shut up. Y'all told us to mind our business. Y'all told us that we're just mad, and all this other. Bro, no. We tried to save you from yourselves. Because that's normally what Black Americans have always tried to do. We try to save people from themselves, because a lot of people can't see 2 feet or 2 steps directly in front of them. A lot of people don't even understand that in the darkness, you are staring at the brightest thing there, which is you, right in the mirror. But you can't even see it because you're too ignorant. You're too deaf, dumb, and stupid to realize who is actually harming and causing and bringing harm directly to you. The worst enemy that anybody has is their self. And for a lot of those out there, for the Hispanic community, Spanish-speaking individuals, you guys are your own worst enemies. You literally voted against yourself because you thought that in some way, shape, or form that you were going to win because you felt that you were better than the other ones there. And you were sorely proven wrong. And now you got to deal with those consequences. So this is why you don't see a lot of Hispanic people out here talking about, I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh, that song is done now. That song, like I said, it could be done at this moment in time, and it is done, but it's going to go down in history as one of the greatest themes heard around the world on how a group of people decided that it was within their best interest to vote against themselves. And you really thought that because you voted and sided with folks that you feel, that you fit, that you align with, that you are shoulder to shoulder with, you thought that that was going to give you some type of protection, and you learned at the end of the day that you were used just like everybody else got used. Black Americans tried to sit up there and tell you how you were getting used and how far this was going to go, and y'all still didn't want to listen. Y'all still didn't want to pay attention. And now you guys are still online talking about, oh, we all need to come together. Black people, y'all need to help us, and da-da-da, this is wrong, and all this other and that. We tried to tell y'all. I tried to tell y'all a multitude of times, both in live streams and in videos, and y'all still didn't want to sit up there and listen. Y'all still wanted to laugh in the comment section. Y'all still wanted to laugh all in the live stream and everything of the sort. Y'all don't care. So you're expecting for Black Americans to care about a situation of which you caused and we warned you about? No. We're going to sit back and we're just going to wait. We're going to sit back and we're going to watch. Because it doesn't matter what Black Americans do. We can be invisible. We cannot exist. We can stand still. Any which one of those three decisions that I listed to you, we will still be to blame for something in or around this country, even though we are not even around it. But like I said before, for the Spanish speaking individuals out there, when this comes to your doorstep, I want you to understand and know that your people did this to you. Black Americans have nothing to do with this at all. Nor do Black Americans have to help with this situation, because we tried to help initially. Y'all told us to shut up. Y'all wanted to throw racism. Y'all wanted to throw slurs. Y'all wanted to throw stereotypes. You wanted to call us every name in the book but a child of God. And now y'all got to deal with this situation by the highest court of the land that sided with the same administration that a lot of your folks decided to sit up there and vote for. This is on you. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I listed in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.